Have you ever noticed that the people who seem the smartest are often the hardest to convince they're wrong? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The smarter you are, the easier it can be to fool yourself. Not because you're stupid, but because intelligent people are incredibly good at creating explanations for what they already want to believe. And if you think you're immune to mental biases, you've already fallen into the most dangerous bias of all. Today, we're uncovering a mental trick that controls careers, relationships, investments, and life decisions. A trap so common that almost everyone falls into it, including you, maybe even right now. Imagine your mind as a maze. Inside that maze is a confident person who believes they already know the correct path. But hidden beneath the floor is a trap called confirmation bias. And most people walk straight into it without ever noticing. Confirmation bias is your brain's tendency to search for information that supports what you already believe while ignoring information that challenges it. In other words, you don't always see reality. You see a version of reality that agrees with your existing beliefs. Think about someone who believes they're unlucky. 10 good things happen. One bad thing happens. What do they remember? The bad thing. Their brain immediately collects evidence that proves they're unlucky. The same thing happens with success, money, relationships, and even how you see yourself. Your brain isn't always looking for truth. It's looking for consistency. And consistency feels safe. But safety and truth are not always the same thing. Now here's a strange question. If an alien followed you around for 1 week and recorded every thought you had, would it conclude that you're searching for truth or simply searching for proof that you're right? Most people don't realize they're doing the second one. And that's where the trap begins. But confirmation bias is only the first layer. The deeper problem is what happens when reality disagrees with your beliefs. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Whenever two conflicting ideas collide inside your mind, you experience mental discomfort. Imagine a student who believes, "I'm smart." Then they fail an important exam. Now there's a problem. The belief says they're smart, reality says they failed. The brain hates this contradiction. So instead of changing the belief, it often changes the story. The test was unfair. The teacher doesn't like me. I wasn't trying anyway. Notice what's happening. The mind isn't protecting the truth, it's protecting the ego. And we all do this. A person stays in a toxic relationship because admitting the truth would mean admitting they ignored warning signs. An investor keeps losing money because selling would mean admitting they made a bad decision. An employee stays in a miserable job because leaving would mean accepting that years of effort were spent in the wrong direction. The facts become less important than protecting identity, and when identity and reality fight each other, identity usually wins. That's why changing your mind can feel painful. Your brain treats it like a threat, not a threat to your survival, a threat to who you think you are. But here's where things become really fascinating. Most people assume that highly intelligent people are less vulnerable to these traps. Research suggests something surprising. Sometimes intelligent people are even more vulnerable. Because intelligence gives you a powerful tool: rationalization. Rationalization is the ability to create convincing explanations for your decisions after you've already made them. Imagine a lawyer defending a case. The lawyer's job isn't necessarily to discover the truth. The lawyer's job is to defend a position. Many intelligent people unknowingly use their intelligence the same way. Instead of asking, "Am I correct?" they ask, "How can I prove that I'm correct?" And those are very different questions. One searches for truth. The other searches for victory. This is why some of the smartest people make terrible decisions, not because they lack intelligence, because they stop questioning themselves. They become trapped by their own certainty, and certainty is dangerous because certainty closes the door that curiosity keeps open. Think about the wisest people you've ever met. Chances are they weren't constantly trying to prove they were right. They asked questions. They listened. They changed their minds when evidence demanded it. Real wisdom isn't knowing everything. Real wisdom is knowing how often you can be wrong. In fact, one of the most intelligent sentences a person can say is, "I might be mistaken." Most people see that as weakness. It's actually a superpower. Because the moment you accept that you could be wrong, you become capable of learning something new. And that brings us to the most important question. How do you escape this mental trap? Here's a simple exercise. Pick one belief you strongly hold. It could be about success, money, relationships, politics, or yourself. Now do something uncomfortable. Spend 5 minutes searching for evidence against that belief. Not evidence that supports it, evidence that challenges it. At first, you'll feel resistance. That's normal. That's cognitive dissonance doing its job. But every time you expose yourself to different perspectives, you strengthen something psychologists call mental flexibility. And mental flexibility is one of the foundations of growth. Think of it like a workout. Muscles grow through resistance. The mind grows through contradiction. So tonight, ask yourself one question. What if I'm wrong? Not because you want to destroy your beliefs, but because you want to improve them. Because the biggest obstacle to growth isn't ignorance. Ignorance can be fixed. The real obstacle is certainty, the belief that you've already figured everything out. Remember the maze from the beginning. The confident person walked straight into the trap because they believed they already knew the way. The wise person carried a compass. That compass wasn't intelligence, it was self-awareness, the willingness to question their own thinking. And in a world full of manipulation, misinformation, and hidden biases, that may be the most valuable skill you can develop. So before you leave, think carefully about this. What belief have you been defending instead of examining? The answer might reveal the very trap you've been trying to avoid. And it might be the first step towards seeing reality more clearly than most people ever do.